Hey guys, Aaron here back at the garage with the Lotus Elise S1. Today I'm going to continue my alignments. I did the ride height, I did the camber, they're in separate videos. Today we're going to do the toe. And I'm going to do that using the good old-fashioned string method that there are lots of videos showing you out there. So I'm not going to go into details about how to set up that line. I'll mention it briefly. And more specifically, I'll show you how to do the adjustments on a Lotus Elise. All right, so to set the toe on the front and rear, this is a little diagram of an Elise, if you can't tell. That is the front of the car. And the specifications are to have a tiny bit of toe out on the front and a tiny bit of toe in on the rear. So I drew these super exaggerated just so that you can tell. The wheels facing out is toe out, the wheels facing into the car, the front of them is toe in. So it calls for 1.2 millimeters in the rear, and that's 0.16 degrees, so not much. And again, that is total. So for this one, we want 0.6, and this one we want 0.6, and this one we want 0.1 millimeter on each side, which is crazy small amount. First thing I have here is two 3/4 inch EMT pipes. So they are fairly lightweight metal pipes, 8 foot length. Got them at Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever you want to get them. A lot of people use PVC pipe. I hear that these are a little bit better because they will not bend and they'll be a little more accurate when you put them on the jack stands. And then I got on on Amazon, I got another set of jack stands because I only have one set of jack stands. And also on Amazon, I'll put links to all this stuff in the description. I have this string with a plumb bob thingy here to weight it, to keep it taut. And it just came with extra pencils, apparently. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a tape measure and measure from the front wheel center to the wheel center over here. And I'm going to do the same on the back. And whichever one is wider, I'm going to add 2 inches to that, or maybe 4 inches to that, just so that each line will then be 2 inches away from the wheel. So I want it to be close to it to make my measurements easier. And then we'll see, we're gonna mark that on the bar down here once we have those measurements. Since I'm doing this solo, I'm just sticking the bar under here and I'll mark it over there, and then I can measure it to make it easy to do it by myself. Again, this measurement doesn't even have to be exact. We're just trying to figure out where to put the string. All right, so I'm gonna have to do millimeter to inch conversion. So I measured this and it was 63.5 inches, which apparently is 1,613 millimeters. So from here to here is 1,613. And let me measure the rear. All right, the rear is 2 inches wider, so 1,664 millimeters on the back. All right, so the next thing I'm about to do is I'm gonna place 4 jack stands around the car, kind of like this. And I'm gonna run string tight and parallel to each other. And I want the same gap on this side as on this side, so all of my measurements are accurate. And this is where the bar is gonna be. So the bar will be laying across the jack stands, holding the string. And so the key measurement I want is, it's pretty arbitrary, but this distance right here between the string and the wheel itself, I'm gonna make it, let's see, I don't know, I'm just deciding right now. Let's make it 2 inches. So in order to do that, we're gonna have to add 2 inches to each side, so 4 inches. So we're gonna go 69.5 inches on the bar. So I marked it right in the middle, and for our dimensions, divide by 2, 35.75 inches out, I'm gonna mark, and then 34.75 out from that side, we'll mark. So we have equidistance from the center. Now that they are marked, I'm just gonna take a hacksaw blade and through both of them, right in the same spot, I'm gonna make a groove. And I'm gonna go over to the other side and do the exact same thing. So as long as they are equidistant and you make the grooves on the same side of this pipe. We're gonna be able to set them on our jack stands, and then we're gonna be able to run our string through them, and it should be able to make it nice and square. Just looking for something like that. All right, so I'm just gonna mark this and write a lease. So I can use these for the lease at any time, and I can use these bars if I have wider vehicles and mark them, just cut a notch next time. All right, we have our string running all the way down here now. I cut another notch way out towards the end so that you could wrap it around there a couple times, wrap it through that notch, and with the weight holding it on that side, it'll stay nice and taut. And I raised the jack stands equally around until that string is right through the center line of our hub there. Now we can do our more accurate measurements and measure from here to see how far out we are. So I can see this one is at 55 millimeters. Up here we're way out at like 96 millimeters. So I'm just going to slide the bar that way a little bit. Go just a hair. So you can see we just went into 85. So just keep going back and forth until you get equidistance from the rear tire. Do the same thing up front. All right, a couple more calculations. Even though these are 16-inch tires, from here to here on the outside of the rim is 17 inches. So that's where I'm gonna be making my measurements from. I'm gonna make one from here and one from the opposite side, 17 inches apart. All right, thanks to Siri, I know that 17 inches is 432 millimeters. So we're gonna make this 432, the length of that. So we know this line, 432 millimeters. Now we're gonna measure from, so imagine this is the string that we have strung up. And so we're gonna measure from the string to the front edge of the wheel, and then from the string to the back edge of the wheel. Obviously not drawn to scale here. The string is way closer. All right, here we are with our handy dandy ruler right on the edge here, and we're gonna bring it up slowly until we hit our string so we can get our accurate measurement. If this will focus, which it won't really, but it is 62 millimeters. So I will jot down here 62 millimeters, and what we want is to have toe in, so we want this other reading to be more than 62. All right, ruler here, move it up slowly until we just make contact with the string, focus, and we have 61 millimeters it looks like. All right, let me move my 432 number outside to make a point here, 432. All right, so we have 61. And again, I'll draw it not quite to scale. So this line is shorter. So if we were to complete our tire here, we had to have toe out and we want toe in. So we need to calculate the distance that we want here, and then we can adjust it. Now let me just take a minute to say I did some research and I saw those cool little plates that you just put up against both of your wheels and you run a ruler through them, and it tells you exactly what the toe in or toe out angle is, which seems great. Like, why wouldn't everybody use that? But it just tells you the combined toe in and toe out. So if one wheel was 5 degrees out and the other one was perfectly straight, it would tell you that it was 5 degrees of toe, for example. And then if that's accurate, if that's what you were aiming for, then you would think it was good and you wouldn't need any adjustment. So when both wheels can be adjusted independently, those plates are terrible and no good for you. All right, so to adjust our toe, we have a toe link bar down here. That is this bar right here. It is secured with a nut over there and then a nut on the other end here. So for my vehicle, I'm gonna have to take this rear diffuser panel off to get better access to that. And then I'm gonna loosen each bolt and I'm gonna turn that bar. And that bar, when rotated in one direction, is gonna pull in the back of the wheel, and when rotated in the other direction, it's gonna push the wheel out from the rear side. So I need to push the wheel out from the rear side. So I need to rotate this so that I can start seeing more threads, which means it's getting longer. So before starting this procedure, you want to go ahead and remove your diffuser plate. You want to go ahead and loosen up those little lock nuts so that you will be able to turn this when you're ready after taking your measurements. The thing I love about my setup here with the little notches is if you have a lift or you want to be raising and lowering your car, all you have to do is unwind this carefully. Your bar is not going to move. I can pull the string out of the way, and if it's already set up to be lifted, I can lift it, lower it back down, reattach my string, and I don't have to remeasure and readjust. The line will be in the right place. And obviously don't forget to take it off the other side because your lift will hit that line. Once your bar is adjusted and lined up, some people I guess use tape to tape the bar on there just so it doesn't move, but I think if you run into it, even though it was taped, you're probably gonna have to remeasure again. I just use a 19 millimeter on the nut, 17 millimeter right here on the groove. Your suspension might be different, but for mine, you gotta remember that this one here is reverse threaded. So turning it up in that direction loosens that nut, opposite down there. But now that they're loosened, I can rotate this bar and adjust the toe. All right, so for this calculation, this is where I need you guys to help me out. So when they say 1.2 millimeters in, and it says total, I'm assuming that they're trying to say 0.6 millimeters in on each side for a total of 1.2. So if that's the case, I want this number up here to be 0.6 millimeters bigger than this number down here. So I'm just gonna adjust my toe, and I'm not gonna be that precise. I'm gonna go for 1 millimeter. So essentially I just wanna swap these around. I want this one to be 62 and this one to be 61. I know that there's calculators out there to calculate the angle, but they do state it in millimeters, and I read that if you're using the string method, you can use distance instead of angle. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, please, and you guys watch and read down there in case somebody corrects what I'm doing, but this is a starting place. Now that this bar is loosened, I can rotate it with a 17 millimeter right here. It's easy to grab, or it's actually light enough that you can just grab it with your hand and rotate it now. So I am told that 1/6 of a rotation of this bar will actually adjust it by 1 millimeter. So if that is the case, I really need to go 2 millimeters, I guess. So I just need like 1/3 of a turn. And I believe, let's see. So I believe if I rotate it down away from me, that is actually making it longer. So that is about 1/3 of a rotation. I put my string back, remeasured. I'm still at 62 here, 61 here. So that 1/3 of a turn was not enough for me. But with the car still on the ground, I'm gonna go ahead and rotate it a little more. Still very easy to turn by hand, so I went ahead and did like another full turn. Oh, and a tip if you're doing this at home, if you put this on like garbage bags or 2 metal thin pieces with grease between them, something to make very light contact, it'll help your tire not grip and rotate. But these cars are so light that it doesn't really matter. So after a full rotation here, I've got like 59 in the rear, and what do we have here? Like 63 now. So yeah, 1 whole rotation was too much. Let me back it up, half a rotation. All right, I think that is perfect now. I am at 61 over here, 62 in the front, 62 in the front. So just a little tiny bit of toe in. And now the key is to lock the nuts around the toe link bar without rotating it at all, because obviously any tiny little adjustment is going to change our geometry. All right, so again, lock these down by only turning the nut, not the bar, and I believe these are like 78 Newton meters or something like that, so quite a bit of force. All right, now for the front wheels. Let's come under here and we can see our steering arm right here, and that is what we're gonna have to adjust here. You can see that it has one lock washer on it. So we're going to, or locking nut, sorry. We're going to loosen that locking nut, and we're going to turn the steering arm to adjust that in and out, because it is a threaded rod that goes into this silver piece right here that attaches to that steering arm, or steering, whatever we call all these components. Anyway, for this one, we obviously need to make sure that the steering wheel is lined up directly going straight, because that will affect this. For me, I got a little stubby 17 millimeter up there to hold that, and I used a 19 millimeter on the nut, got it loose. All right, super important, make sure the steering wheel is right in the middle. We have our string reattached, and same thing as for the rear. We're just going to take our measurements. Here it looks like I have about 77 millimeters. And over here I have like 98 millimeters. So way toe in. You can, like, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but just looking at it in person, you can visually see that it's got a ton of toe in. So here we have the same 432 millimeter diameter of the wheel, rim to rim, and it's 98 millimeters up top, 76 down below. So yeah, a ton of toe in. We want it to be almost neutral, just a hair of toe out. So let's turn our steering rack little knobby guy until it is straightened out. So for the rears with the car on the ground, it's really easy to reach under, grab the toe link bar and adjust it. From the top, it's not really accessible very easily to get to it. I don't know, maybe if my arm wasn't in the way, I could get to it from under there. Not sure, but I'm just gonna probably have to remove the string again, raise it up, adjust it with the car up in the air, bring it back down, and do that a few times until I get it dialed in. If you guys know of an easier way, let me know. Okay, so since we have a bunch of toe in, we want this to come back out. So for the front to come out, the back has to go in, which means that this rod has to start getting shorter. So I'll take my stubby 17, hold this again, and as the nut with the reference, when I go this way, it is getting threaded in. So I'm gonna wanna take this rod and rotate it that same direction to start threading the rod further into this to make it shorter. All right, again, never done this before. Open to better suggestions. Trying to do this so you guys can see it. So I'll hold this in place and grab this and rotate it, and just keep rotating it to thread it in. Okay. And I'm just going to visually inspect, and it's still needs to go in a long way. All right, it's actually really easy to turn this thing. Try to do a little spot check. I can tell it needs to go more. And there's really no reason to hold the other piece. It's not moving. It's looking much more reasonable now. All right, let me lower this and check it. All right, just remeasured, we got 85 over here, 90 over here. So just a little bit of toe in, so gotta go just a little bit more. See, live and learn. Now that I know how to do it, I can indeed reach up here and grab that bar and adjust it with the car on the ground so we can save some time by not having to go up and down. All right, after the last round, we finally got this one. All right, we got 88 up front and 89 in the back. All right, it seems like my steering wheel moved just the ever so slightest hair. So I'm gonna recenter that and make sure we dial that back in. Now that it's all aligned and I confirm that the steering wheel is still straight, all I have to do is lift it up and tighten those locking nuts, and I'm good to go. All right, that's it then, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope this was helpful. Check out the other alignment videos, or if you haven't done your suspension yet, I got a whole suspension refresh video series. Hopefully it was helpful. Thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you on the next one.